What I want to say is, first of all, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. To honor Super Dave flying him,
B-Man,
which is his evening. And secondly, I want to thank Mark and Lisa Price, because they supplied that brisket.
oh, thank you. The reason we're here tonight is to honor Super Dave. Honor Super Dave.
Exaggeration.
But really, to honor Dave, it's really best that we put him. I think it would be best to put him in his what we call his birthday suit.
Children!
Oh, we could have saved.
We got to put Dave in his birthday suit, and I'm personally going to assist Dave in putting him in his birthday suit. Come on, Dave.
There's so much wrong with that.
And the two pink hats don't help it any.
Oh, you're holding hands!
Oh, good gosh.
Okay, boys.
We have a little something for you for having to put up with Dave for so long because they were asking where are the flamingos, so. All right, there you go.
Too funny. Okay.
To match.
Oh, nice and cushy.
All right. Those of us that have known Dave for a long time,
We feel sorry for you, but
I'll be much later. All right, sweetie, enjoy yourself.
we all know Dave is known worldwide for two specific things in this world. Two things. One is beer, and especially if it's free and cold beer. That's your two favorite beers. And the other thing he's known world famous for is having a problem or an issue with tires.
Slight issue.
Specifically, blowing out tires and losing beads on tires. So we thought we'd kind of set the tone for the evening with presenting Super Dave a monument or a trophy, a trophy for Dave. So we're going to present this trophy to Dave.
Watch your ear there, honey. You don't need a party foul. Party foul. Oh, gosh.
All right. So this trophy is kind of it incorporates all these things. Plus, we also found out at Contingency that Dave kind of has a fetish for chicken.
Yes.
Oh,
There's some
gosh.
pictures in the house.
As you will see on this screen later, what we're talking about with the fetish for chicken. So,
And Stephen Thumbs. Don't forget about that.
without further ado, free, cold, and blown. And the nice thing about it is, he even got some beadlocks to go with it. So what we want to do is, anybody that has anything that they remember, or a funny story, or anything that they would like to say? Anything they'd like to say, or have a funny story about Dave, or have something up here they want to have? Anyway, anybody that has anything they want to say, I know Pam's got something that she'd like to say, so if you want to, that's fine. Anybody else that can think of anything, funny story, anything we've
All
gone
Pam
through?
has to remember is that her day comes.
Yeah, but hers is a long way off.
Decade away at least.
Yeah, decade.
I'll turn it over to you.
Nobody has a funny story about Dave?
Pam's coming up. Pam, start. Him and his best friend never really drank before. His best friend's dad was a doctor. They didn't drink, but they always got alcohol for presents and Christmas, whatnot. So him and his best friend really thought, we're smart. We can steal a couple bottles from Dad and go have ourselves a really good time. But being even more smart, they decided we do not want to get sick, so we are not going to eat all day long. So they proceed to go ahead and drink. They're at the arcade at Fox in
It was Fox in 30, 40, I mean in 35.
Fox in 35.
Way back in
Nope,
the day.
yeah.
When there were
Way back in the
arcades.
day. David gets really, really shit-faced, goes outside underneath the lamp pole, and proceeds to get sick as a cop is driving by. So that was his first experience, first and only, of getting busted.
Ah, they just took it to the police station. It
Yeah,
wasn't a
they
big
took you
deal.
to the police station, had to call your parents, and your mom's like, no, David doesn't drink. Yes, he does.
Well, if that was the one and only time, why is there a wing at the Louisville Police Department called the Ruby Wing?
Anybody else got something to say?
Rob does.
What I've gotten into is completely his fault. being his neighbor, being his neighbor, I didn't know it at the time. We didn't actually even know the Rubies at the time. We lived 5 houses down for 10 years.
Not until the check got sold.
We didn't even know we had matching vehicles or anything until one day my Dodge truck was parked out front and they parked theirs out front and mine got stolen. Well, it ended up it ended up at one of my daughter's friend's house, and they said there's your truck and there's a blue Dodge also in our driveway. So I thought, well, I know a blue one lives down the street. So I took off to go find my truck, and come to find out David's was the other truck. So we have not only matching Dodge trucks, we get them stolen at the same time. And then, I mean, our kids probably knew each other, but we really hadn't met them until the day of the truck theft. And then when my daughter turned 16, the first thing she told me was, I want a Jeep. I said, great, I'll buy a Jeep. I've always wanted one. So I bought one, and I was coming down the alley, and Dave was in his driveway working on his Jeep. And I pulled up, and the first thing I said to you, I think it was probably the first time we actually talked, I said, please understand, I'm not copying you. Just because you buy a Dodge, I buy a Dodge. You buy a Jeep, I buy a Jeep. It's just not a copy. It's for the daughter. And all I'm going to do is, he got me into this wheeling thing. Okay, it is completely his fault, and he'll never live that part down. But I will tell you that the first trip that we went on, and this is very true about him, the cold, free, cold, and blown, the blowns. I will say this: David is the only person I've ever met on the trails that can pop a bead on grass. We still can't figure it out. We've got pictures of it. We've analyzed it. We've sent it off to all the JP Freak and everybody else, and trying to figure out what happened. We can't figure it out, but he holds that title. Okay? Now, I will say this: as when I became the event director, one of the things that I've had to do, and it's really hard to do on the runs that we get together, is trail leaders. Trail leaders are hard to find. It's hard to find them that know the parks. It's hard to find them that volunteer. And I will say this on a good note. David has stepped up immensely as one of my top trail leaders, always willing to volunteer, always willing to help out. And I want to commend him for that. One of the
However,
one of the posts that I just put up is for our 3rd annual Powder Puff Run, the Ladies Powder Puff Run. The one thing I put on there was it's a ladies event to wheel. Guys are allowed to come. They can be passengers, spotters, and navigators. If a guy wants to drive, they have to wear a wig, with one exception. Tony just has to let his hair down. It's fine.
This ain't my roast.
Yeah. But the one thing that David came back and said right away was, I thought you were going to make the guys wear coconut bras and grass skirts. Okay, my fear is I know these people, and I will have more guys than girls, if that is a requirement. But keeping that in mind, because I know you so well, I would like you to open these up and show them how you will attend the Powder Puff Run.
they say trail leader.